Hey everybody, hope you guys are healthy and safe. So you're watching footage shot with the Oppo Reno 7 Pro right now. And the phone is completely handheld. Stabilization looks really damn good, right? Considering this is handheld. In fact, I'm gonna run up these stairs just to show you how smooth stabilization is. I'm just holding the phone with one hand right now, by the way. Okay, so the reason stabilization is so good is because I'm shooting with ultra steady mode. This is electronic image stabilization that crops into the frame. So it's a little bit tighter frame, but still wide enough to do handheld vlog. I'm just holding the phone with one hand right now. Oh, the sound you're hearing, it's coming from the internal mic of the phone too. So this ultra steady mode, it's a really good compromise for the Oppo Reno 7 Pro because this phone does not have optical image stabilization. In fact, let me turn off ultra stable right now. Okay, so now ultra steady is off and you should see that it's a lot more jerky. This is how the main video footage will look if you don't turn on ultra steady mode. But you do get a wider field of view. Oh, by the way, when you shoot with ultra steady, you can only max out a 1080p resolution. But if you shoot with the main camera without ultra steady, you can go up to 4K 30. Oh yeah, you can also shoot bokeh video, like with the depth of field background behind me. Now some of you guys may think this is copying the iPhone, but actually no, Oppo did it first. They started doing this with the Oppo Reno 6. How does it look? So right now I only have the depth effect, the blur effect at a minimum, because I think when it's on high, it's actually too strong. It doesn't look realistic. I like it better like this at the lowest level, so you get a little bit of bokeh, but not like too fake, you know? See, right now I have the blur effect on the highest level. It should look really fake. Like, you can clearly tell this is like not natural looking. Honestly, I think ultra steady is a really ingenious idea for Oppo because this is a mid-range phone. This is not a $1,000 flagship. But you're getting a phone that, if you're an aspiring YouTuber or aspiring influencer, you can vlog just like this, handheld, without even an external mic. As long as you don't have too much noise around you, you'll get smooth, stable, vibrantly colored image, and the sound should be okay too. Anyway, let's take a look at the rest of the phone. So the Oppo Reno 7 Pro is a very visually appealing design in my opinion. I really like this shimmery glass back and the flat sides. You know, I'm a fan of curved screens, but for some reason flat sides just make a phone look professional. It looks like a machine. It doesn't look like a toy. I love how this thing feels in the hand, and unlike the iPhone 13 and 12, Oppo's flat sides actually have chamfered corners that make them a little bit easier to hold. Like, the corners don't dig into your palm as much as an iPhone 13. This is a 6.5 inch Oled panel, 90 Hz refresh rate, 20:9 aspect ratio. The device is pretty lightweight at 180 grams. Thickness is 7.5 millimeters. Now this color is called Star Trail Blue. There's also a black version, but I am really a fan of this color. I like that it's a little bit of a gradient finish. There are a lot of nice little touches that add to this phone's overall vibe. It's a very whimsical vibe that I like. For example, I really like that the speaker grills are angled. I mean, it's a very small thing. It doesn't affect the usability of the phone at all, but it just makes the Reno 7 Pro stand out a little bit from the 18 other phones I have, which all have completely straight speaker grills. This little area around the camera bump, it's covered in ceramic and it actually has a light inside. So when you charge the phone, the light will flicker. It's a breathing light. So this camera module houses a 50 megapixel main camera. This is a Sony IMX 766 sensor. And you have an 8 megapixel ultra wide camera, a 2 megapixel macro sensor, and a color temperature sensor. Now by now, if you've watched my videos, you know what I think of 8 megapixel ultra wide cameras and 2 megapixel macro sensors. They are but the good news is the 50 megapixel camera here is pretty good because this is the same sensor that was used in the Oppo Find X3 Pro. You have a 1/1.56 inch image sensor size, so it's not the largest, but it's not small, so it's large enough to pull in light naturally, and of course you get that little shallow depth of field bokeh whenever you bring the phone closer to a subject. Now inside you have a MediaTek Dimensity 1200 Max, so this is an upper mid-tier SoC. It supports 5G. And even though if you look at the Geekbench numbers, you know, it definitely doesn't come close to a Snapdragon 888 or something, but in real world usage, I did not encounter any issues. There's a 4500 mAh battery in here that can be charged at 65 watt charging speeds. Battery life has been pretty good because this is only a 90Hz panel and the screen isn't huge. It's not like a 6.9 inch screen. So definitely you can get all day battery on a single charge unless you're like actively very heavily using the phone. Now my model has 12 gigs of RAM with 256 gigs of internal storage, but I believe there's a base model with 8 gig RAM and 128 gigs of storage. Finally, you have a very good haptic engine in this phone. Typing on this phone is a joy, and the stereo speakers sound pretty good. Now in terms of software, this phone runs ColorOS 12 over Android 11. It's unfortunate that we're not on Android 12, but at least ColorOS is a pretty good skin. I've covered it so many times already, I'm not going to dig into it too deeply. But overall, it's a visually appealing, colorful OS that it's fast and responsive. It zips around. I really like all the customization that you can do, including a lot of shortcut gestures. You know, like when the phone is off, you can draw a circle to launch your camera. You can control music playback without lighting up the screen. You can double tap the screen to turn it on or off. Bunch of other stuff. You have a slide over menu that allows you to launch apps quickly. And then when you're playing games, there's a gaming menu that you can activate by sliding from the side. And this menu allows you to do things like stabilize the frame rate or turn off notifications for apps so when you're gaming, you don't get interrupted. Now, there's one downside to the software is that out of the box, there's a hell lot of bloatware. You have like Shopee, Lazada, a bunch of these hot apps. You can delete them, but then it'll take you like 10 minutes just to clear all this stuff out of the way. Now let's talk about the camera. Photos captured by the 50 megapixel main camera, lush colors, sharp details, balanced dynamic range. Even at night with the main camera, you don't have to resort to night mode too much because the main camera has a relatively large image sensor. Unfortunately, I can't say the same for the ultra wide camera. The ultra wide camera during the day is great, but then at night, it really falls off a cliff. You have to turn on night mode if you're shooting the ultra wide at night. Now around the front, you have a 32 megapixel selfie camera. This is a new custom sensor, Sony IMX 709 sensor, and it uses Oppo's RGBW filtering array. What it does is it basically helps the camera pull in more light, and also there's this thing called DOL HDR, digital overlap high dynamic range. That means whenever you're shooting against really harsh backlight, like against a window with a lot of sunlight coming in, the camera will be able to expose your face properly while not blowing out the lights behind you. So overall, the Oppo Reno 7 Pro is a really good looking upper mid-tier phone. Now does this phone bring major upgrades over the Oppo Reno 6 Pro or the Oppo Reno 5 Pro? Not really. If you have those two models, you don't really need to upgrade. But if you are on the market for a new mid-tier phone at around the 500 something US dollar price range, this is a really good option. This is also one of the best looking phones I've tested so far in 2022, and also in the last like 5 or 6 months. I definitely like this look better than the Vivo V23. I definitely like how this look better than the Redmi Note 11 Pro that I tested. So yeah, this is about it for my review of the Oppo Reno 7 Pro. I'll have a lot more content coming up. February is going to be a very busy month. We have the Galaxy S22 Ultra, we have the Honor Magic V, we have the Xiaomi 12, we have a bunch of stuff that basically I'm going to be stressed as hell in the next few weeks. So I hope you guys have a more relaxing week. Anyway, take care, stay healthy.